Central Grammar School was a former military armory, a stone building looming over calles San Francisco and Luna, in the heart of Old San Juan. In 1908, it stood next to a chicken slaughterhouse and had a concrete yard enclosed by an iron-spiked fence, with heavy double doors that slammed shut as students walked in. Stuffed birds, monkeys, and other animals in dusty glass cages lined the long, dark hallways. No one knew how they got there or where they were going. The students wore green and yellow uniforms, sat in neat little rows with their hands folded, and called their teachers Meester and Mrs. They started each day with the Pledge of Allegiance, then sang a patriotic ditty. Puerto Rico is a beautiful island. It belongs to the United States. Our children speak English and Spanish, and salute our flag every day. Their flag was the Stars and Stripes, which hung in every classroom. The teachers wore starched blouses or crisp white shirts and wiped their foreheads with crumpled handkerchiefs all day. In the early 1900s, the most popular teacher was Mrs. Del Toro in room 9, because she wore sweat pads under her arms. Every morning the strings holding them in place slipped out of the short sleeves of her starched white shirts, and she had to turn her back in order to adjust them. The children always loved that. Then she would get down to teaching. On a given day, while displaying a chart of the major food groups, she might explain in barely comprehensible English the importance of nutrition and eating all the foods on the chart: broccoli and carrots, turnips and iceberg lettuce, plums, a large meatloaf, and other strange items. If a child remarked that none of the vegetables on the chart grew in Puerto Rico and the class laughed, Mrs. Del Toro would slam her pointer on the blackboard. By way of punishment, she might move on to mathematics, instructing the children to pull out books written entirely in English, as she wrote an equation on the board. 1/2 equals how many eighths? Now remember, to change the denominator of a fraction, you first divide the first denominator by the second denominator, she would explain. The children would look at each other and scratch their heads, not having the faintest idea what she'd said, and unable to read the English language math books. After lunch, Mrs. Del Toro might settle the class down with a little song,